We are rooted in our community. Streamers and creators, they are our trunk. Those of us who follow loyally are the limbs and branches. The saying root and branch is defined as entirely or wholly, which is why I chose this name for my new platform. For the streamers and creators that will be my guests are 100% in on making a change, speaking their minds, and expanding others. Welcome to Root and Branch. Well, hello everybody! Let's see who we got in here tonight. The usual suspects. Plus we have a godless granny in here. Well, thanks for coming by, everybody. I really appreciate it. And Omros. Sweet. Come on in. We're going to get started here in a minute. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I'm going to go ahead and start with my first guest. You know me, I don't fuck around. I just get right to it. So the first person I have tonight is this guy, which I'm sure none of you recognize.
No way.
Nobody's ever seen him before. I know it's new. So this is Oz.
What's up, everybody?
How are you tonight, buddy? Doing all right?
Chilling. I'm excited to be here. I like these interview / open dialogue streams the best. So I've been looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, cool. No, I appreciate you coming by, man. For real. I'm getting to the end of my Twitter chain. I'm going to run out of people soon. I'm going to have to start digging harder. So far, I've just been messaging everybody I know.
Yep. Then you have to start going into new to you channels.
Right.
And picking apart the followers there.
I have to start branching out, if you will. Dun-dun-dun.
Oh, there you go.
So Oz, how I do this is I'm going to give each one of my guests about 20 minutes, and then I'll bring you in both together, and I just start out with one simple question, and then we'll just go from there. So this is real casual. So my first question is always, tell me about how you grew up, your family dynamic, brothers, sisters, that kind of thing. Just tell us about your childhood a little bit.
Yeah. Grew up, one sibling, a younger brother, and my parents were together until I was about 14, right around there, and they divorced. But we grew up in a very, very extreme side of the charismatic evangelical movement, I guess is what they call it nowadays. So the slinging oil and talking in tongues and healing and wealth and all that bullshit. Yeah. So we grew up with that. In my earliest memories as a young guy were either in church or at church doing something, or on a baseball diamond or a football field. That's all we did, church and sports. Right. And that's really all I knew until right about the time my parents divorced. That's when the little badass started to appear. Started ripping and running and doing what I wanted to do, and to hell with what mom and dad had to say, or pastor or youth pastor had to say. And I spent, I'd say, about a little over 10 years just doing what I wanted. And it wasn't like I wasn't even worried about whether a God existed or not at that point. It was due to a lot of the trauma and abuse and things at home. A lot of things I was doing, a lot of decisions I was making was just to piss, especially piss dad off, and to spite him. So did that. And then as kind of that snowball, it went from just having fun to drug addictions. I was selling drugs. I was, like I said, ripping and running the streets, doing all the stupid shit that I shouldn't have been doing. And then in 2003, I believe it was, 2003, I went about 3 days without sleeping or eating. All I was doing was drinking and playing with the white stuff. And I passed out. Finally, my body was like, we've had enough. I passed out coming off of a highway exit, and I got T-boned by a dump truck going about.
Oh shit, man!
Going about 70 miles an hour. I think.
How did you live through that?
And barely. I coded out twice. They had to resuscitate me 2 times, and then broke all the ribs on the left side of my body, and then collapsed my lung shattered my shoulder blade. They thought I had brain damage. Now some argue that that is accurate, but
Drain damage.
So all that, and you know, and I remember when I woke up, when I finally gained consciousness, and realized where I was at, I went to like try to move. Well, my body was in shock, and my body wouldn't move. I thought I was paralyzed, and I started freaking out. And when I woke up, there was nobody. Like my parents weren't there. My wife at the time wasn't there. There wasn't a doctor, a nurse, and I'm like freaking out. Well, the next thing, family and friends that are all Christians pile in the room, and it's, well, the only reason you're still here is because God has His hand on your life, and He's protecting you. And now I look back and I was like, well, His hand was on my life, and He's protecting me. Why did I have to? Why did I have to go through all that shit? But
I mean, wake up call is a wake up call, but geez, did you have to almost kill me to give it to me? Really?
Yeah. I am hard headed. I can be stubborn, but I'm not that stubborn. But it was after that, I'm what, 22 years old, whatever, 23. Right. And I'm like, maybe they're right. Maybe I didn't die because God has His hand on my life. So after that, I jumped like both feet all the way into the pool, of Christianity and religion. Wow. And, I started taking Bible classes, and, really my focus was on, New Testament and New Testament history, writings of Paul, and all that. And it was about 5 years ago now that the skepticism started to creep in. And at that time, I was the full-time, my brother's a pastor. He pastors about a 700-member church right around there. Wow. But I was a full-time drummer. My ex-wife and I oversaw all the small groups. I helped with the youth group. And anytime they did like inner city outreaches or ministries, I was usually the one to asked to speak at those. So it wasn't like I was just a every once in a while go to church kind of Christian. Like this was my life, and it was my identity. It was wrapped up in that. And there happened to be a Sunday where and it's the only Sunday that I can recall anyway, that I didn't have a responsibility. Like I didn't have to play drums. They had somebody else playing. I didn't have small group, youth group, nothing. I was able to just sit and listen. And being the drummer, when we, like in rehearsals and during the services, my only focus was the twos and the fours. Like as the drummer, I'm there. I'm the foundation. I'm there just to keep beat. When do I crash? When do I fill? When do I build? I didn't really pay a lot of attention to what the words said, because that didn't affect me. It was the, rhythmically that's, I needed to know that. So the first thing was they started playing, and, all the words are up on the big screens, and I'm listening and I'm reading, and I'm like, that's not in the Bible. Well, that's not in the Bible. And then when they got into the more, the minor chord driven worship part of the music, where now we're going to go to the melancholy feel and really start to tug at the heartstrings. Then the words just got creepy, and I'm like, why does it sound like we're getting ready to make love with God? Like what is happening right now?
Right.
And then my brother shared a couple of scriptures that when he shared them, I was like, hold on a minute, but what about this scripture? And then what about this scripture? And then this like light bulb went off, and I remember to myself saying, Oz, you have never sat down with that book and analyzed it without the lenses that your mom, dad, pastor, youth pastor, that anybody ever gave you. You've always viewed it through your indoctrination and through what they've told you and how they've told you to read it and to understand it. And it was that day started the avalanche, so to speak, that would come later, because I said I got a brand new Bible. That way my highlights and all my nice little notes and everything weren't there, and I could just read it page by page for what it was. And I barely got through, I barely got to the end, really Leviticus. And I'm like, I have zero good reason to believe this shit. Like what am I reading right now? And so that's the, kind of the condensed version, but it was from there, once the light bulb like all the way went off, and it's like, no, I don't believe anymore. it's been a whole lifestyle change, you know.
Right. Absolutely. No, I get that. So when you said you started being a troublemaker, which I totally get that. I started that at 14, 15 as well. So no, I totally get that. I went crazy. I was dealing pot. Oh yeah. High school was, I mean, I went to a Catholic high school. Everybody there wanted pot and alcohol. They were easy sells, man.
I was going to say that the kids that went to Catholic school, those are my most loyal customers.
Oh yeah. No, they are partiers. I had no idea. I got in so much trouble hanging out with those kids. So when you went to high school, did you like do the regular high school thing? Did you make it all the way through that, or were you jumping around because you were?
Good question. I always forget to mention this. In what grade was that? It was a year or two before high school. I was actually put into a Christian homeschool co-op. So there's a building, and all these kids that are being all homeschooled together. And wow. I think the thought there, I think the thought there was mom and dad thought that would give us more of a structure, or for me anyway, would give me more of a godly structure and atmosphere.
Right.
And what they didn't know was on the first day, I found the kids in the alley because we were downtown, where the building was at. We were in the alley getting high. And it was like, this is God right here, But it was so once we all figured out, okay, we're wasting money by going to this co-op because it doesn't really matter. And I went to high school. I was an all-state baseball player. So I went to school just so I could keep playing ball because that was one of my outlets,
Right.
But once I stopped playing, I quit. I think it was the end of my 10th grade year, going into my 11th grade year. Excuse me. I said, fuck school, and got my GED. And since then I've just busted my ass and grinded for everything I have. So
nice. Yeah, everybody thinks, oh, you didn't graduate high school, you're a piece of crap. But some of us come out of it and get our heads back on straight.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of. I mean, I finished high school. I just didn't even care about it. And then a couple of years ago, I asked for several years ago, I went to go to EMT school, and they wanted my high school transcription or whatever they call it. And so I mailed them and got it back and everything. And I opened it up, had a bunch of A's and B's on it. I was like, really? I really thought I had like a C-, but I had like a B+ average. I didn't care so much. I forgot that I graduated well. I just didn't care. So I get it.
I always tell my kids that I'm very grateful that they enjoy school, and because for me it was being ADHD, like on the severe side, and being untreated, because I hated it because I couldn't focus and I couldn't retain and I couldn't, so it drove me nuts being there, Fortunately my kids don't struggle with that. But I tell them all the time that no, dad had straight A's all the time. They were one-legged A's. All the time.
One-legged A's. That's incredible. So I missed when you said at the beginning, how many siblings do you have?
I have one younger brother.
One younger brother. So he's religious to this day?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's
that's fun.
He's the he pastors. Well, they started at his home. It's almost 10 years now, I think. But started his home, and now they just bought a new building, and I think they're up to 700 or 800 people, something like that.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand how people don't read it and go, this is fucked up. Like, did they ever read it? Or I swear they just repeat what everybody said before them. You know what I mean? This is what the pastor said, and this pastor taught him, and this pastor taught him, and and it's just handed down, and nobody ever sits down and reads the fucking thing. Like they say, I read my Bible, but it's almost like they do it as like a chant thing, and they don't really read it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I've watched people who do that, and they just kind of like they're reading it, but they're they're not looking at it, they're not picking it apart, not reading between the lines, you know? So it's, I don't know. I don't know how they can do it.
For those that convert, you know, as an adult, you know, I don't want to sit here and act like I know every person's motive or the reason why. But I think often, I won't say all, but oftentimes there's some type of turmoil or hurt or pain or loss or something that's going on that there's the need for whether it's actually there or not, at least the feeling of the hope, and the closeness to something or comfort, but as a child, like my brother and I were, it is more along the lines of what you were describing, where it's here's what it is, here's why, and here's why we don't question it,
Yeah.
and if you do question it, you need to pray, because your faith is dwindling, and you need to understand that this is the God-breathed text.
Yeah.
We don't question that, and when you're taught at a very, very young age, where you're still completely malleable, and open to trust anything mom and dad say or authority says, pastor, youth pastor, whatever, those things become like deeply held beliefs that then become concrete. It's not even like it's up for debate. It's a concrete, deeply held belief that's so hard to let go of.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, see, I never like got into it as a kid. So I was always just like, whatever. Like, mom just makes me go to church, like that's how it was. I absorbed nothing. I absorbed nothing. Like, I could tell you little things, like the holidays, because they were like holidays and we went to church at night, and that sucked because you wanted to be home eating candy, but it's one of those things. But I just never got into it. And then I was just like, why am I even here? That was why am I here? Like, I didn't even care, but I'm also ADHD. So I get that whole school and everything and dealing with that. It can be really crazy. And I'm old enough that they didn't even know what the fuck it was back then. You just got your ass beat,
Right.
Like they didn't even, you're a bad kid. They start spanking you and you're like, fuck, dude, what did I do? And the whole time they're spanking, you're not even thinking about the spanking. You're thinking about other shit going, what did I do? What did I do? I don't remember anything. What did I do? My brain already moved on. I don't know what I did anymore.
Yeah, they were still diagnosing. They were still diagnosing everything. When I was in school, it was still just ADD. The ADHD thing hadn't really, become a thing.
Yeah, they didn't know enough yet to add that in. Yeah, that letter in. Yeah. No, I always wonder what it would have been like when I was a kid, if I hadn't, if I had been like medicated. I'd probably be like fucking doctor right now or something. Because I never even went to college. So, did you go to college?
Nope.
Ran around, got in trouble for a few years, and then. Same.
Yeah, I'm very. I very much have an entrepreneur mindset,
Right.
So I've started several businesses, either on my own or with business partners. And like I said, I've just, and now being diagnosed and treated, now I love to learn, because I know what style, how I need to learn, what style is best for me. And now I'm like always surrounded with books or learning material. It's amazing, because I used to hate it. I'm like, fuck that shit. But now I absolutely love it. And my wife and I talk about that, is the what if I would have had the right medication back then, and I could have sat down and focused and paid attention and retained, it could have looked completely different. But I'm also not going to complain, because through all the bullshit that I've had to go through, I now have a wonderful life with a beautiful wife and kids and home. And like I said, we've done well, considering that I was the loser dropout.
The loser. Right. Absolutely. See, that's how ADHD I am. I forgot what the hell I was going to say. Oh, I've never been medicated for it. I've just always been like, nah. Well, because I heard bad things about side effects, but I think that stuff's changed so much in the last few years that I'm at the point that I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try something now, so we'll see. Maybe they'll keep me more focused. What'd you say?
When I started, and I'm not at all being facetious when I say this, Adderall like changed my life as far as just being able to focus, and not just like with work or even YouTube stuff and organizing, but even in relationships, being able to stay tuned in to conversations and all that. Where in the past it was constant like, oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I have to literally, when I have a guest on here, I have to stare at you guys. If I look at that chat for more than 2 seconds, I'll get lost in the chat and I'll be like, oh, what were you talking about? I'll totally fucking lose it. Yeah. So I can't even, I have to like not look over there during the interview parts. I get it. Oh shit. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
If it wasn't for Adderall, I would be just like that. It would be, I'm right here and none of this matters. This chat thing doesn't matter until this is done.
Yeah.
But with that now, my multitasking, it's still not as good as, probably your average person, but compared to where I was, 5 years ago, whatever, when I started taking it, it is a huge difference.
God, you sound so much like me. Like, I don't want to pick up a book either. If I find one, I'll go, oh, this is interesting. I'll start reading it. And I get like maybe a couple pages in and then I put it down and I never pick it up again. So I don't even bother spending money. I borrow stuff off of you. Can I borrow that book? Sure. I'll have it back to you in 2 weeks. You're going to read it that fast? No, I won't read it, but I want to check it out.
At least let me get a couple pages in.
Huh?
At least let me read a couple pages and I'll break it.
Just let me read it. I'll hand it right back. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you done with that book yet? Yeah, I never read it. Do you want to keep it? No, I'll give it back to you. I'm done. That's hilarious.
I remember for book reports, the ones that I would actually attempt to do when I was still in school, I would just read like the first couple pages and I'd read the back of the book and base it off.
I so tried that. I so failed some shit because of that.
You'll like this story. My wife and I were just talking about this the other day because she just recertified for her degree so she can get back into her career. And we were talking about when I took my GED, because when I went in, for us, it was at that time, it was a 2-day process. She went in one day, took one half, and then this other half, second day. Both days, I went in there, I smoked 2 huge blunts before both of them because I was like, there's no way I'm going to get through this. And
all-day test.
I went in there. I remember on both days, I like tried to answer the first like 3 or 4 questions, like, and actually read and do it. Next thing I know, I'm just doing designs, like whatever looks cool, because it's the ones where you fill in the circles. Yeah, I'm just filling in the circles, oh, that looks cool, filling in the circles. So I do that the 2 days, and then like 3 or 4 weeks later, my dad calls me. He was like, hey, you got something here at the house if you want to come pick it up. And I was like, oh, who wants my money now? And he was like, no, you got your GED. I was like, shut up. He was like, no, it's here. I was like, oh my God. And I went and I got my GED, and like I literally answered maybe, let's say 10 answers, 12 answers, like actually read and
and answered them, right.
The rest of it was me just whatever looked cool on the paper.
Look, I'm not even gonna make this up, Oz. I swear to God, this happened to me when I was in high school. I had a best friend, and you know how like the recruiters come into because I like lived in the backwoods. I went to like a little small hometown. There was 83 of us in the graduating class, and that was the biggest one they'd had in years. So like that's how small it was. Their average was like 78 people per class. So little tiny high school, and so all the recruiters came in and they want, oh, let's go, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I want to go take my ASVAB. I'm never going to get out of here any other way. I want to get in the Army and get the fuck out of this place. I was like, all right. And I was like, well, good luck. She's like, come with me. And I was like, I don't know, man. Can I do that? She's like, yeah, they're giving us all McDonald's. And I was like, free McDonald's? I haven't even had McDonald's before, so I was excited. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going with you. So I went down there. I didn't even try to, I read the first couple questions and I was like, what do I care? I'm not doing this. So in the dots, because they had 2 rows of dots, I did a Christmas tree outline, and I did the side silhouette of Abe Lincoln, like his face in the hat and shit. I scored a 38 on the ASVAB. 35's minimum to get in the Army. She scored a 28, and she really tried hard, and she never spoke to me again. And I went in the Army.
Great job.
I didn't even try. They were like, well, you only got a 38 on your ASVAB. And I felt like saying, can I take that again? Because I wasn't really trying. Like that was literally, but then I thought, what if I take it again and I fail? So forget it. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and go in with the 38.
That's awesome.
Hilarious, but I fucking passed it. Yeah, she wasn't my friend anymore. She was mad I could get in. So, yeah, it was pretty funny. It was good stuff. So that's how I ended up in the army. You know, they were like, well, you passed, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what kind of job you got? They're like, well, we can put you in supply. And I was like, yeah, that sounds easy. And you get all the boots and all the new uniforms. So that's what I did. I just different kinds of supply pretty much the whole time I was in, but it was all just easy. You know, it was like a fucking 9-to-5 job. It was easy shit. So
and
yeah, it was good stuff.
Moral of the story is everybody taking classes or college, or you're just doing some type of training, just make random fucking designs or do outlines of Christmas trees and Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
You'll pass.
You'll pass. You'll be right in the military if you want to go. Don't try too hard. I think that's the key. Either that, or they were like, God, this one's really stupid. Let's just get her 38, and then we'll just like once women can be in the infantry, we'll just push her in. Here, go die. You're stupid. I don't know which one it was. All right. Well, Oz, thank you so much. I'm going to kick you down the basement. I'll bring you up when we're done with the next one. Appreciate you, buddy. And I don't know if you guys will know this person. Nobody's ever heard of it. No, you know what? Forget it. We'll just end this show. Nobody's ever heard of this one. Nobody's ever heard of this amazing lady who is so sweet and tells people about my channel and her channel all the time, which is very, very nice. So
I try to support smaller creators, like particularly. So I saw your content. I said, this needs to be bigger.
Aww,
we need more content that humanizes each other and is positive. So,
well, thank you.
Sure.
That's my goal. I want everybody to get to know each other. That's my thing. I want everybody to be friends. I'll even let theists on here that are not my brother. Other ones. I know. I'm crazy, right?
Right.
Whew. Well, HS, because I call her HS, just so you guys know in the chat. So same question for you. Tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up. And just so you guys know, I meant to make this clear. This doesn't have to be a religious versus atheism thing. I just want to get to know you as a person and what brought you to where you are.
Well, religious versus atheist thing, just fun fact, I'm probably on the borderline of deist and theist right now.
Okay.
But I worked in church for 15 years as a Christian. Wow. And so like really hard mode Hardcore, mode Christian. Yeah. I moved from Calvinism and Baptist Christian, pretty fundy, and young earth creationism to accepting evolution and becoming basically a Methodist, and then moving to more progressive Christianity. And then I've kind of moved now to more of a deist position. But how I grew up is a weird tale. If you want to hear it, I can share it.
I love weird shit.
So I am the youngest of 5. But when I say youngest, I mean way youngest. So my oldest brother, who just passed away a year ago, unfortunately, is 16 years older than me. And then going down the line, the closest in age to me was 6 years older than me. So I was sort of like this afterthought.
Oh, so we were both mistakes. Check.
Yeah, kind of, right. I'm an extra mistake, though, because it gets a little bit weirder. So I found out I was adopted at 13.
Wow.
Surprise. Dun, dun. I don't recommend that. If you adopt a kid, tell them early so that they know, so that they're not surprised, because it'll...
Yeah, like you just lied to me my entire life, because that's their entire life.
Yeah, so at middle school, I had middle school is already really stressful. It's like the most stressful time, and you're going through all these hormonal changes and stuff like that, and they're like, dun, 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 identity crisis. So
you don't know who you are, surprise.
Whoa, who am I, and why have you been lying to me? and so I that was like something. And then how I grew up religiously, I grew up my mother was a deconverted Catholic that converted or moved to Protestantism. So all of my siblings grew up Catholic, and then when I came around, I was a bad influence apparently. We all became Protestants at that point. So I have sort of a foot in both Catholicism and evangelicalism, because I have so many relatives and experiences that are Catholic and Irish Catholic
Right.
too, like uber Catholic. And then I have, the other door of evangelicalism. So that made me pursue theology quite a lot, because you have these conflicts and stuff, and knowing why they're the conflicts, and trying to understand them. And so from a young age, I was made to read the Bible. I was homeschooled also. So my family was really concerned about the end of the world, and they really kind of left Catholicism and bought into kind of what I would argue the worst of evangelical culture, which is sort of like the sphere of the mark of the beast and the end of the world, and like, we're in the end of days, and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
All the
so
time.
I can actually say, like, for me, in my opinion, that's spiritual abuse, and that impacted me very negatively. And I can, explain to people why that is at some point. I do that often, but definitely rocked my world to find out later on in the future that young earth creationism, as it's explained now, is fairly new. It rocked my world to know that this like left behind kind of idea of theology is actually fairly new, like, the whole rapture theology and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of interesting to kind of get these surprises.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Just my whole life, every
Yeah.
2 or 3 years, I'm like, fuck.
yeah, every so often there's like this big surprise and a twist in the road, and I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. It's always been kind of an adventure in that way. But I mean, I have positive and negative experiences in religion. I am bisexual. I find that, and anybody in the LGBTQ community experiences tremendous amounts of abuse by Christians in the name of God. And so like that definitely impacts me to some degree. I'm sick of it,
Yeah.
frankly. I'm trying to think here. I don't know really where to go except to say, like when you said he was homeschooled, I was like, oh my gosh, me too.
So okay, so step us through a little bit. So you got all these older siblings.
Yeah.
And so you get to 13, and then all of a sudden you have to figure out who the hell you are. And so
Right.
did you reach out to, as a teenager, to try to find your parents, or how did you handle that?
So it's weird. I'm an adopted cousin, so I'm still related to some degree. But it was like
Okay.
to the side of the family that everybody doesn't talk to anymore. So like, and as I kind of learned more information as I got older, I realized why people don't talk to them anymore. So but there
Right.
was sort of a wall of no, you cannot communicate, no, you cannot ask questions. And that was kind of a running theme in my house growing up, is that I wasn't allowed to ask questions. I didn't feel safe to ask questions. And there was like sort of it didn't matter what it was. If it was about like, sexuality, like sexuality was incredibly shameful, or if it was about like nothing was felt safe to talk about. So anything that I learned about the outside world, because I was homeschooled, I learned from my naughty church friends. so
Those damn Christians.
can I tell a funny story that's a little bit on the perverse side? Not really, truly. But
Oh, I
like
don't
a little bit
care.
edgy. Okay,
Everything
I don't know.
goes here.
Okay, so so we went to a Baptist church, but I'm in California, and we were in sixth grade, and I was really naive. Imagine the most naive sixth grader ever. So I'm like 12 years old, and that's like the awakening. It's the start of middle school.
Oh yeah.
And our Sunday school teacher decides to not show up and doesn't call or tell anybody not to show up. So we're just sitting there in our little classroom talking, and it's just the girls in my classroom, and we're just talking about like stuff and things. And all of a sudden one of them starts talking about 69ing, and I'm like, and in Sunday school, this is Sunday school, because the Sunday school teacher didn't show up. So I had questions like, I don't know what you're talking about. So she drew on a picture. She drew on the board like a little diagram of what was happening, and I was like,
Really? Well, I didn't know anything at that age either. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
My brothers wouldn't let anybody around me anyways.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Stay away from
say,
mine.
You're saying that, the Catholics are bad. I'm telling you the Baptists are bad too.
Oh, I
So,
bet. Oh no, I bet. I
yeah.
totally bet they are.
There's
Well,
a lot of
it's
Baptist summer school, summer camp stories,
oh
So,
yeah, I'm sure. Well, the
yeah,
thing is, you take these kids that need to like explore themselves
yeah,
and the world and ask questions, and you go, no, you stay in this
yeah.
little box, and then one day you're either going to be a lemming the rest of your life, or you might peek out of the box and go, what the fuck? I'm sick of this,
Right,
And so that's just what happens. And I mean, luckily my mother never did that. We could go to her and ask her about anything.
right.
And she would either answer honestly or, well, either way she would either give us an answer or tell us to go reference it. I'm not sure. Go reference that,
Oh
I mean,
man,
we
it was
never
like
went to my mom and
overwhelmed.
said, what's 69? We figured that shit out in school. But, like my brother went up to her, not the one you guys know, the asshole brother, went up to her one day and said, oh, can a girl tell by the sound of your pee hitting inside the toilet what size your dick is? And my mom was like, no, son, I don't really think that's going to be an issue. I don't think anybody could really discern that from you peeing in a toilet. He's like, okay. And he like walked out of the...
Wow.
He made me go in my
Interesting
bedroom and he asked, and I could hear right through the wall.
That's a question I've never thought to ask.
Well, I mean, it's a guy thing,
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
worried about, whether somebody thinks his dick is too small or too big or whatever. I don't fucking know. But it was really funny. It was really funny, though. I laughed for like hours about that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's just the one I heard. I have no idea. My brothers could have asked my mom all kinds of. I didn't really ask her much. Like I learned everything from friends in school,
Right.
You know how I learned the word lesbian?
Hmm.
I was sitting on a toilet in a stall, and some girls
Did
walked
someone
in. And they were
draw
like,
a picture?
"That fucking girl, she's like a lesbo." And her friend was like, "What's a lesbo?" And she was like, "A lesbian." And what's a lesbian? Somebody who likes girls, and the other girl goes, "Ew." And I'm taking a shit gun. I went, "Oh, well, that's what I am." Okay.
Oh yeah. In middle school too, the same thing. Like the Baptist girls would talk back and forth and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and they would be like, "Oh, you like comfortable shoes? Are you a lesbian?" And I'm like, "What? Why would you think that?"
Oh my god!
Everybody's wearing Converse. It's the 90s. What are you talking about? Yes, I wear a flannel shirt, but everybody is. What are you talking about?
Vans and Converse. Is there anything else? I don't understand. That's
Right?
great. That's great. So did you do the normal into high school, into college thing, or what did you do?
So I was homeschooled, but I was homeschooled in a non-accredited way, and I was more isolated than what Oz is describing. So at least Oz had at least a group. Like I was completely isolated. So in my case, I had to go straight to the GED. There was no graduating. I had to. And unlike him, I did not think, and unlike you, I did not think of drawing a picture of Abraham Lincoln or a finger or anything. And I tried really hard, and I kept flunking my math tests. Everything else I would pass. I had points left over right away. Like I remember the person that was helping me. They're like, "You're like way above, even in science, which is a miracle because I was homeschooled. You're way above
Right.
everything." So I'm beating the score. Like I had enough points to be like, yes, here's your GED, except I'd fail the scoring because they're all scored separately for math over and over and over again. And I was freaking out. And part of it was I was never really taught like anything beyond basic algebra. And so it was just a given that I would flunk anything that was geometry or trig. It was just going to be a wash.
Yeah.
But also I make I still do stupid mistakes with math, and I have to be really careful. And I didn't know what that was because it was never caught, and some of it you mentioned, back in my days, like if you acted up for ADHD, they didn't call it that. You said you were a bad kid and they beat you,
Yeah. Same.
Some of it's that, right? Some of it's that, but I don't have the hyper. I have the ADD part without the hyper, right? So some of it's this, I'm a little bit like Dory and Space Cadet at a lot. And what was I doing? I was supposed to be studying, but now I'm just daydreaming, I'm one of those people. But it was that, and then it was combined with I didn't know I was neuroatypical in this way. I have dyscalculia, which is like dyslexia. but with numbers and reading music.
Oh.
And so like I have a musical ear and I can play guitar and piano, and I would be stressing out in piano lessons because I could not read the music for the life of me. My piano teacher would yell at me and be like, "You are memorizing what you're hearing, but you won't read the music." And I'm like, I can't do it. And it's like every boy does fine, and all the little things that you try to learn, and I couldn't read the music. And so similar thing with math. And so I'd fail and fail and fail, and I'd be freaking out. And finally I was able to pass it after 5 failures in the GED. And I'm embarrassed to say that, but my IQ level's fine. It's just that I have this weird problem with this one area.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. I could never read music either, and I don't have any kind of a reading issue or anything. I just didn't. It was one of those things I didn't want to learn. I was like, oh, yep, don't know what that is. Like that's the amount of learning effort I put into it.
You're like,
and I could do the same. I used to play the trumpet the same way. I would do it by sound.
Yeah.
So I was in between somebody that was pretty good and somebody was really good next to me, and I would just listen to him and I would change it up a little bit, and I didn't know how to. I just did it by sound, and I learned because we practice all the songs so much. I just figured out, what the fingering was on it, and then I learned it. And eventually, by the time I got to the end of 7th grade, they kicked me out because I couldn't read.
Oh, they caught it. They caught
yeah,
you.
they finally the new music teacher, because I went to middle school, and he was like, or junior high, and he was like, after about 3 weeks, he was like, "You're not reading the music." And I said, "Excuse me, sir?" He goes, "You're not reading the music." And I said, "What would make you think that?" And he goes, "Well, you haven't flipped a page, first of all." And I was like, "Fuck, forgot to flip the page." Just kept on playing. I was on the first page. We're on like the 4th page now. And he just started paying attention. So,
that was at least a nice way. I had a Russian piano teacher that had a conniption fit, and so like I don't know what it is, but I mentioned Russia because she's so stoic, right? Like this, like so stereotypical, and she just slams her hand on the keys, bam! Like, and I was like. And then she goes, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "You're not reading the music." Same thing. Like, but she threw a fit about it, and I was just like, and then I was like, "Mom, I'm not doing piano lessons." She's like, "Why not?" Because I didn't even explain. And like looking back, I go, "Wow, I bet that some of these things could have been caught in nowadays, and especially in public schools. But back then, and then plus being homeschooled, like it was just different." So but yeah.
Yeah, that could be tough. I couldn't even imagine. Like, I don't know. We had to beg for instruments when we were kids. Because my mom was broke because my dad was worthless. But so we always had to beg for instruments. We all ended up with an instrument. Like everybody except for one of us who wasn't interested. We all ended up with instruments. I don't know how my mother ever paid for that shit. She pulled money out of her ass somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. Good music is good. I love to try to play it, but I don't read music, so I can only do so much before I start. Like I get to that level. This sounds pretty good. Okay, we'll go up a notch. No, I'm right here. That's it. That's as high as I'm going. So yeah, I get it. All right. Well, let's bring Oz back up here. And we'll get together and BS for a few minutes, and then we'll run over to the after party. What do you guys think?
It was awesome.
Oz. It's awesome.
I think it's a weird coincidence that you got two people that were homeschool kids.
No, it's totally, and it's really random. Like sometimes if I have enough people saying, "Hey, I want to be on these 2 weeks," then I'll put people together that I think either don't know each other or know little about each other. So they, okay, these two will get along. Mm-hmm. They think the same. It'll be a good conversation. And then sometimes I just throw you guys in together, and I've thrown people in together twice now without even thinking about it. And it just happened to work out both times. So,
well, I don't know Oz, so this is pretty cool. So
yeah, no, see, you guys will have to subscribe to each other, and Oz does more of the deep minded stuff, and Holy Spackle does more of the look at this stupid shit. Can you believe this?
I do that. But I don't like to only do that. I actually like to interview people too and have like human interactions. But I do lately I've been doing a lot of look at this stupid shit, unfortunately. It's
it's
probably
pretty
not my
funny.
best self.
Yeah. Well,
but
you
I do
know,
it.
but it's fun to pick on idiots. I mean, we all
Yeah.
like that, you know. I mean, I wouldn't pick on someone who's disabled and you know, mentally, but I don't know. Maybe some of them are. Maybe we're picking on mentally disabled people, and we don't know it.
I don't know.
Shit.
I think for me it's the wrecking
Be nice to
balls.
Christians now.
If you're oh my god, if you're a wrecking ball, maybe I'll highlight you. If you're not, you're good.
Yeah, you always find like the most idiotic people.
Yeah.
So it's true. Oz, what have you been doing? I haven't got a chance to see your shit in like over a month, I think at least. What have you been up to lately?
Well, I will say, I do take it as a great compliment that you said that we're into the deeper thinking things, because now when people go watch, they're gonna be like, "This is deeper thinking."
Shut the fuck up, man. You guys just dig a little deeper. You know, she's laughing at people. That's why I like her. She's like comic relief. So, if I'm stressed out, I go see what she's doing.
There's one thing I do love about the different characters that we have on our channel, because you know we do like Shane. You know, Shane is one of the smartest people I've ever got to speak with, do shows with, whatever, and you know if you want to have those deep dives into philosophy and all that, he's that guy.
Right.
We have Biddy Buddha that don't you dare, like on our call-in shows, don't you dare call in and want to talk Bible and not know your Bible. She will.
Yeah. Biddy Buddha will get you.
But then then you have Skids and Jimmy, and I throw myself in this category where we just like to bullshit and have fun,
Right.
and we're there for the laughs,
Right.
So you have that, and like Skids on Thursday nights, Skids and Jimmy's show is all comedy, so we have the different, and I just started doing live SE interviews here in Fort Wayne. We go down and set up a table and do that. So we really have, I like to say, a plethora of things to choose from, because not everybody wants to hear about philosophy. Some people don't care for the comedy. Some people are like, SE, what the hell is that? So I do enjoy that we have
Street Epistemology, for anybody who doesn't know. Okay, move on.
But we have fun.
I didn't think it was somatic experiencing. That would be the other option. It could be.
Oh, it could be everything.
Yeah.
Secular empathy. I don't know. It could be many things. I can make up shit all day that would relate
like
to any
fringe
topic.
psychology, SE.
Yeah, right.
I will plug this one real quick. It's the first one we're doing, but Dr. Josh Bowen this Sunday. I'm a shameless plug. So he has this book, Learning to Read Ancient Sumerian. So we're actually going to go starting this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to start going through that book. So if you want to buy the book and go through it with us.
Who wrote it?
Dr. Josh Bowen.
Okay.
Digital Hammurabi.
Our Dr. Josh. Okay. By R, I mean the Dr. Josh that I watch sometimes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The one who's usually attached to like Skylar or someone.
Yep. I've known
But
Skylar
also
for
does
years.
his own stuff. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah, Dr. Josh has become a very good friend of mine, and I always got to shout him out, because just recently losing my mother, he was one of them that was there like every day, every other day. Hey, how you doing, bro? Are you doing all right? Everything good. He's a good guy. But if you want to learn ancient, or how to read an ancient language, that starts this Sunday.
Yeah. No, that's actually interesting to me. I hadn't. I knew about his other books. I didn't know about that one. So I knew about the newest. Well, is that the newest one? No, there's one after that. The how to decipher the Atheist Guide to the Bible, right?
Here, we'll just help Dr. Josh and everybody. How about that?
I don't know how this guy's like popping out kids. He's a good dad. He's a good husband. He's writing books. I don't even know.
He's really patient with people too. Yeah,
he really is.
Yeah, he's a machine.
Yeah, the Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
This is the newest one, and then he had this one. This is like required reading on our channel.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, did the Old Testament.
Yes. Did you know that?
Yes, he is our slave. We will set him free in 5 years. Yes, Granny. That's absolutely correct. That's correct. And we'll give him a little piece of land and a mule. Go ahead. What were you guys saying?
I was just saying, I think it was Smokey Saint that called Dr. Josh and Shannon Q the most dangerous kind of atheists.
Why? Because they're too intelligent and well learned.
And they appear to be too moral. So like it's true though, like in a way, like it's like those are the kind of atheists that woo people like me. Like I like, okay, well, Shannon Q's so nice. Like I love Shannon Q. Like,
Yeah, she's great.
you know,
She's amazing.
you know.
She's intelligent. She's hard-headed. She's kind. She doesn't take any shit. Yeah, she's like the perfect representation for any community, really.
Yeah, Shannon's
Bode
great.
well for the Christians. Yeah, she is great. Absolutely.
So
yeah,
they're very dangerous. They need to be shut down. Very
yeah,
dangerous.
they are dangerous. They are dangerous to Christians. It's true, and not for the reason they're saying. If they wouldn't say the real reason, because then you might notice it.
Yeah.
They're too smart for us. We can't fight them online. See, now a Christian could come over and beat my ass because I don't know shit, because I never gave a fuck enough about the Bible to ever learn any of it. I just never cared. I was like, this is another book that I'm not going to read. And
I'm
set it
such
down.
a nerd with the Bible. You have no idea. I'm such a nerd with it. But
even the little like New Testament book they give you when you're Catholic, I don't even know who else they do that with.
So it's
but
always.
I was Catholic, and I never even read all that. I got to like the second page,
The
and I was like,
catechism?
"This is fucking stupid."
First page.
I don't know.
Done.
Whatever that little New Testament book is they give you. I don't know. Oh, hey, no, they could beat my ass, Granny. They could beat my ass in a mental war about the Bible, because I don't know shit. I know a lot of ways to pinpoint why it's wrong, though, that I've learned over the years, and some of them I came up with myself.
That's because God has hardened your heart, according to
yeah, he did. He let a bunch of people fucking die in my family that prayed to his ass and then expected me to believe in him afterwards. So
I was thinking about all the arguments
doesn't
that
exist.
get thrown to you.
Yeah, right.
One of my favorite things to do is to steel man, and we will do that every once in a while on our Discord. But we had one. I'll keep this short, but we had one guy calling the show. This is probably about 4 or 5 months ago, and he was calling in thinking that we were a Christian show for whatever reason. And at the time, Pasta Mike was doing a production on there, and he muted the call real quick to where he couldn't hear us. And Mike was like, play your Christian part, put your Christian hat on. And I've damn near had that guy converted by that call.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
nice.
I was like, buddy, you should probably go and check your level of skepticism and your what you consider to be good evidence, because what I just gave you is not very good evidence.
Well,
right.
You described steel manning. Can you describe the difference between steel manning and the principle of charity? Like, is it the same or are they different?
My understanding on it, would be to me would be different, because the like steel manning, if we're doing it in a like a role play type atmosphere, it's I'm taking on the part of of the theist or the believer, instead of just being charitable in a debate or a conversation. That's if I'm understanding the question. That's how.
Yeah, I think they're connected myself, but yeah.
And they very well could be, and it may even be based on the conversation, and like I said, who's involved, what they believe, but there could definitely.
So how did you get into street epistemology? Because the street epistemology is sort of the flip side of how I was taught to do apologetics on college campuses, the other direction. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you said that. Yeah, because
Socratic method. Yeah.
Yeah. We were, in church. It was very much the Ray Comfort-ish style of street preaching.
I hate that style.
Now I do. Absolutely.
Have you ever stolen? Well, then you're a thief. Good day.
Yeah. I literally cringe when I hear it now. I'm like, no, don't do it.
Have you ever told a lie? Well, then you're a liar. I'm like, what?
Everybody's told a lie at least once in their life about something.
If I've boxed once, am I always a boxer?
If you get on an airplane, are you a pilot?
Wait a minute. If you do something once and you're always that, I've had 67 jobs. Do you know what I am right now?
Whatever your jobs are, that's what you are.
I mean, I've been a donut maker. I've been a fry cook. I've been a landscaper. I've been a roofer. I've been a framer. I've been a painter. I've been a lot. So I'm all of those things. So next time when someone says who you are, like for a bio on social media, I'm going to put all of those.
Well,
I'm
all
just
of this. I'm just going to call you a donut maker because that's the one that sounds like That
It
might be
was
delicious.
actually one of the best jobs. I always got free donuts to take home with me. It was great. And then he'd say, "These need to be this. These you can do whatever you want with them." And I go, "Ooh!" And I experiment and make them look cool and do little designs and stuff. It was fun. It was actually fun. It didn't pay shit. And it was hot and sweaty, but it was a fun job.
Steel manning is restating your interlocutor's position, says Randolph Richardson.
Stating your
Yes,
interlocutor's
but sometimes
position.
you have to make it better. So have you ever had like a bad interlocutor where their position's so bad and their argument so bad that you have to try to make it better for them?
Yeah, they're called pre-suppers.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I actually look at them and go, "Wait a minute, I know more than you. You shouldn't be on this thing."
But you're
I
borrowing from my
shouldn't be doing
worldview.
Like, if I could debate better than you, you shouldn't be debating, because I don't know fucking shit about it. I know nothing about it. It's
So
another
how do you
book
know
that I
that?
have not read yet.
The other one that it just makes I don't even have hair. I shave my head every 2 or 3 days, but if I had it, it makes me want to pull my hair out. And I heard you mention you talked about Calvinism and Baptist, and Calvinists are essentially pre-suppers. They just don't want to admit it. But that's the other one where I'm like, no. Are you listening to yourself right now? Do you hear the atrocities that are exiting your mouth right now? And and it's like, obviously I don't say that out loud, but those two are the ones for me where I want to help them. Like, no, like God could be better. God could be a better guy than what you're doing, and just waving it off as, well, it's God's will. And if God said it, that's how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, oh, that's such a cop-out.
I would say that Calvinism was probably the most destructive thing to my faith ever. Because then you have to, because I'm an empathetic person, but Calvinism, I mean, the whole idea of doom from the womb, that God chooses people, not other people, like it puts in my mind, and I'm still stuck there, where it puts all culpability to God. And that's when I started going, like, it made me ask really big questions that, like, probably 19-ish, I was 19 years old, where I started asking a lot of questions, like, about the nature of God, and Calvinism opened that door. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I still to this day, I as much as I've tried to wrap my head around justifying that position, even when I was a believer, that our decisions and our actions don't matter, because at the end of the day, God. That's always been. I always had that struggle where it's like, so literally anything, and like, yeah, you're still going to pay the penalty here on earth. You're going to go to jail, or what, depending on what you did. But in the grand scheme of things, in eternity, which is what you say you're focused on, and this life doesn't matter. We're here for the next one. That seems ludicrous to me. Like, how I couldn't then, and I still can't now.
yeah.
Even get close to justifying that.
Well, yeah, like I was having this discussion. I can't remember his name. He's got a big apologist channel right now, and I was having this discussion with him not too long ago. And I was just saying, like, this is like, for me, I mean, I'll be really honest, I struggle with the problem of evil really big time. It's part of the reason why I'm a deist now. Like, I think, like, it just doesn't make any sense. And, like, to say that there's this personal loving God and that interacts with you. And then also, all this gratuitous evils happening in the world, like really gratuitous. And I've had Calvinists make concessions to me, like they say nothing happens that God doesn't decree, things like that. Really, really strong Calvinists, like that are just hard mode. And like, I'll ask them questions like, did God decree abortion, since they're pro-life? And they'll bite the bullet and say yes. And I'm like, how can God decree something that you say is immoral and abhorrent? It doesn't make sense. Like, and we would just get stuck in these battles that would make no sense to me. And I don't know. For me, I mean, that's probably a sticking point for me, is like the problem of evil. And I think it's probably common for a lot of people. And then you'll find that your dogma and your theology suddenly at conflict with what you really feel and believe. Like, and you're suddenly like, it's not even cognitive dissonance. I'd say it's like emotional dissonance. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, the moment where it, the analogy I use for my personal experience in deconstructing and deconverting is if I had this wall of faith, and we started to chisel it away, that's what that looked like. It was like one hammer hit after the next, and when it really started to come off in big chunks was when I really started to see and understand, especially in the Old Testament, obviously, how nasty and how ugly this God, this God was or is. And that, like you said, it was through that process where it's like, if this God does exist, is he this ugly? Is he this nasty? Could there be a God that's not this God? That doesn't operate like this? Is this one? There was
Is
just
this the
all
best possible worlds that all the pre-suppers talk about? Because I can think of a few other worlds that would be better than this world.
yeah. I struggled. Yeah, well, and even I was just the other day talking to a Christian about this. With when it comes to evil, and then and free will, and how they try to get away with the evil things humans do and credit it to free will, and they have the right to choose that or the ability to choose that because God gave them that ability. And I say, no, I call bullshit, because when I was born, I didn't sign a waiver or anything saying, would you like free will or not free will? Like
Right.
I was just stuck with the sin. Like I was just given sin, right? So I'm already put behind the 8 ball, but it was my choice.
Yeah.
Like I'm a little confused here, so that's and that's another one that I struggle with. I'm like, no, all your free will shit it's done at birth, because you're telling me I'm born with the sin. I didn't get to choose. Well, no, I would like to not be a sinner. I do not want to be full of sin. I didn't get to choose.
Well, now you just sound like a Calvinist. The Holy Spirit has to woo you. With the wooing of the Holy Spirit, I mean, that's part of the tulip, right? And so then you can,
Oh my gosh.
Well, there's a new one, a new acronym. It's BACON instead of tulip. I was a little attracted to that because I love bacon.
Bacon. I have not heard of bacon.
I like bacon.
Is it the Armenian answer to it, or is it something else?
I forget. A Calvinist told me about it because I was like, I was having fun poking at tulip, and he was like, "Well, maybe you like bacon. There's one where they've restructured it and it spells bacon." I was like, I can dig some bacon.
I need to look up bacon. I'm out of the game, I guess.
Yeah, it's and because I only looked at it like once or twice, I don't remember what each one stood for, or why somebody built it, but it's out there.
Total depravity is one that even as a Calvinist, I was like, total depravity. What about the Zamaga Day thing? Total depravity.
Yeah,
A really poor view of humanity.
So Theo said, buy the emotional dissonance commemorative coin now. Fucking love you, dude. Free will is not in the Bible, said Granny. I've been doomed. Yeah, me too, Clint. I've been doomed since birth too. And every time I asked my religious sister, why does this shit keep fucking happening in my life? She said, it's a test. And I said, look, I passed the 4 fucking I almost died, everything ripped away from me test. Can we be done now? And she said, well, that's up to God. And I was like, fuck that. Fuck, this is stupid. This is fucking stupid. That motherfucker is keeping track of everybody here and is going, oh, what's this? I'm going to poke you. It's a test. You come do my test, motherfucker. I'll take you out in the woods. I'll show you a test.
Yeah,
anyways.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, in one of our...
I get violent.
In one of our open rooms, there was a gentleman named Christian Hillbilly who would come and attack LGBTQ people. And he particularly attacked this woman, Nadia, who was a trans woman. And so I popped in because at the time I was progressive Christian. I popped in and I was just watching this abuse happen. And I finally just tried to basically stop it. So I got in between him and I started talking to him and we started doing, Bible ping pong back and forth. And it was interesting because there was a point that I was getting to. Oh, he tells this story of what a benevolent man this guy is. And he's like, I have... I work at a school and I monitor a school bus for middle schoolers, and one of the middle school girls was sexually abused by her youth pastor, and she's going through a lot. So I told her that happened because God ordained it, and it was for a reason, and that you now can use this as a purpose in your life. And I'm like, you just told her that God sanctioned abuse. Are you kidding me? And I'm just trying to tell you, like, how dogma can be so, and theology can be so negative and horrible. And I was just like, that is like the most disgusting thing I've heard on the internet. Like, well, that's not true. There's worse. But it was one of the most disgusting interactions I ever had, because I was just like dumbfounded, like that this person exists and he's in a state where that's acceptable. In my state, that wouldn't be acceptable. You'd be kicked out. But in his state, that's acceptable.
Yeah, it's hearing things like that. Number one, yes, it's absolutely fucking disgusting. And when I hear things like that, it just pushes me closer and closer. If not after the last 3 weeks of my life and what happened with my family and the passing of my mother, and then on top of hearing stories like that, I'm probably there, if not very, very close to Christopher Hitchens' position that religion poisons everything. Because when I hear that, it's like that's almost any time that I hear about people's personal stories, the first thing that comes out is usually all the negative shit. And then depending on who you're talking to, it's either followed up with what I think one of us was talking about earlier, where it's like, but God then used that in my life to help somebody else or to touch somebody else's life. Or you hear of other people that it's after the trauma or whatever happened, their life spirals out of control, or more bad things happen because of bad decisions, or they just leave the religion altogether and they become activists outside against or at least helping people be skeptical and apply
Right.
Rational thinking. But it never, very rarely does it ever come out to where people actually get to be a part of it or leave it unscathed, I guess is there was a bunch of words to try to say that.
Right.
Yeah, in my experience, trauma will find you no matter where you are. But
I agree. Yeah.
Well, let's pause there. Give everybody a few minutes to go hit the latrine or head, depending on what military you're from, or just go to the bathroom if you're from neither one. And everybody in the chat, I believe I put that link in there. I will repaste it for you suckers. Everybody get over there. We'll see y'all at quarter till, and we'll carry on this conversation, get some more people in here. What do you think? Yeah? Yeah? All right. Everybody out there, if you do not come over because you're crazy or something and you don't want to go to the after party, that's way more fun than the interview, have a great time. Take care of yourself. Take care of one another, and have peace in your life. And for the rest of you, I'll see y'all over there in a few.